So, hi everyone. Now we're going to discuss the ethics and legal issues in psychotherapy. This is a continuation video of the previous previous video. We have already discussed about some ethics should be followed by the therapist during the session. So this is now we are discussing about the documentation process, the contract where should be filed or clearly mentioned before the session starts. So in that the continuation, now we're going to see the homework assignments. As a part of therapy, client will be given some homework assignments in between the session, and the client is expected to carry out the same. Okay, the client should or must do the assignments which are assigned by the uh, counselor or a therapist. That could be work for their future plan. So that should be carried out carefully. If the client comes to the session without the completing homework assignment, then the therapist has the right to cancel the session. So however, in such situation, the client has to pay for the session too. Next, documentation. The therapist may take notes during the therapy session because the client will discuss or detailedly gives their experience, the past experience or the present experience, which makes them emotionally imbalanced or makes them emotionally disturbed. So that will be listed out. So the therapist cannot take everything, every point together at the same time. So, the documentation is very much important. The therapist can write their issues or the things which have been explained by the client. Okay, the documentation is very important in therapy session, so that will be mentioned in the ethical form. So there is no rights there is like there is no rights to the client to claim about the documentation. So documentation helps for the plan regarding the counseling outcome. Next is recording. The therapist may tape or record or video record the therapy session for the documentation and the supervision of the purpose. This is also like can once the therapist cannot write or take the notes, they can start up with the tape record or video record. That would help the therapist to note down the points clearly and where the therapy session is working on and where the therapist has the emotional problem, etc., will be clearly supervised for the purpose of the successful therapy. So, provision of revision. If required by either the therapist or the client, the contract will be revised after mutual discussion. Okay. Next, the confidentiality. This is the major role of this is the major and it is an important quality for a therapist or a counselor to be. So, maintaining confidentiality is the foundation of psychotherapy. Without the assurance about the confidentiality, the client cannot be expected to reveal their information. During the initial stage itself, the therapist should give clear clearly explained that their information will not be revealed to the third party. Okay, the discussing issues will be very much confidentially maintained and it will be trustworthy. As a part of medical profession, the therapist are expected to maintain confidentiality to their clients. So this is very important. Ethics should be followed by the therapist. So boundary issues during psychotherapy. Boundary issues in psychiatry or psychotherapy do not have a black and white answer. Non-sexual boundary crossing can enrich the therapy, several treatment plan and strengthen the therapist-client working relationship. So both the client and therapy should not have any interpersonal relationship, or they are because of this therapy session they should not create any strong bonding with them. It is strongly ethically it should be avoided. The therapist and the client should be they should not cross their boundary in the therapy session. There should not be any disclosure during the treatment plan, so that could not be worked out properly. So interpersonal relationship should is not be encouraged in the therapy process or in the therapy session. So if the transference or counter transparent is happening, then the therapist can end up with the therapy session. Okay, that could not be for working, that would not be worked properly. Okay, once this boundary is crossed, the therapist should end up the session clearly. Thank you.